In the land before fire, before speech, before even the whisper of myth, the earth was untamed. It belonged to beasts and shadows. But one spark was rising, a creature not built for strength, but for thought, a species that would change everything. Homo's ancestor, an upright traveler, a fragile mind locked in a primal world. This is the story of life at 7 million years ago, of mankind's earliest memory, and of a confrontation with an ancient predator, a serpent older than time. Welcome to the mystery of the giant python that walked beside our origin. Before we journey back to a world unrecognizable, I want you to do something. Close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine standing in total darkness. No streetlights, no moon, no phone screen, just you. And the sounds you can't identify. A rustle, a hiss, the crack of a branch. Your heart races, your breath shortens. That feeling, that ancient panic. It's older than you think. It's not learned, it's inherited, passed down through millions of years. From a time when darkness didn't just scare us, it killed us. Now, open your eyes, because we're about to go back to the moment that fear was born. Part 1. The world they inherited. The year is not a number to them. There's no calendar, no name, no language, but we know the time. 7 million years ago, the Pliocene Epoch. The world then was a vastly different canvas than the one we know. No cities, no roads, no borders drawn by human hands. Vast grasslands paint what is now East Africa. Endless savannas stretch as far as eyes could see, golden, wild, and seething with life. Trees dot the horizon like isolated islands. Acacias rise with twisted branches, offering shade to creatures who've learned where safety hides. Rivers cut through dry earth, their banks teeming with life. Gazelles with eyes like polished stone, hippos wallowing in mud thick as cement, saber-toothed cats prowling in twilight silence. The air smells of dust and decay, of wet grass after sudden storms, of blood drying under the equatorial sun. The temperature swings violently, mornings bring biting cold, afternoons explode with heat that shimmers off the plains like liquid glass. Nights belong to predators, and among them, something new stirs. A small group of bipedal hominins. They are not yet human, but they are no longer ape either. Meet Australopithecus afarensis, roughly 5 to 4 feet tall, weighing about 60 to 90 pounds, lighter than most modern 12-year-olds. They walk upright, though not with the confident stride of modern humans. Their gait is cautious, watchful, efficient. Their arms are still long, built for climbing when danger calls. Their feet? A fascinating hybrid, arched enough to walk, flexible enough to grip branches. Evolution caught mid-transformation. Their faces are flat, with prominent brows and jutting jaws. Eyes dark and wide, always scanning, always aware. Their brains? Small by our standards, about 400 to 500 cubic centimeters, roughly the size of a chimpanzee's. But inside that small skull, something is different. A spark, a glimmer, the beginning of what we would one day call consciousness. They think in primitive terms: danger, food, shelter, kin. Their world is immediate and unforgiving. There is no planning for next week. There is only now, this moment, this breath. They don't speak the way we do. No grammar, no sentences, no stories told around fires that don't yet exist. But they communicate. Grunts, eye contact, hand signals. A sharp exhale means stop. A low growl means threat nearby. A series of clicks and gestures might mean water this way or fruit in that tree. Survival hinges on these subtle cues. A twitch of the ear could mean danger approaching from behind. A rustle in the bush means run or fight. And the choice between those two often determines who sees tomorrow. Their social structure is simple but profound. They move in small bands, maybe 10 to 20 individuals, families mostly. Blood ties matter. The old protect the young, the strong defend the weak, not out of nobility, but out of necessity. Alone they are prey. They know the rhythms of the land. When the rains come, the rivers swell, and fish gather in shallow pools. When the dry season arrives, they follow the herds to distant watering holes. They know which roots won't poison them, which insects carry protein, which birds signal the presence of predators. They know of cats, big ones with fangs like daggers and patience like stone, of raptors with talons that can pierce a skull, of crocodiles lurking in rivers, eyes just above the waterline. And sometimes they know of fire. Not their fire, not yet, but the fire that comes from the sky. Lightning strikes that ignite dry grass and consume the plains. They've learned to watch the smoke, to wait, to return when the earth is scorched and small creatures lie roasted in the ash. It's a hard education. Every lesson costs something. A life, a limb. A member of the group who wandered too far. But there's one beast they rarely see and almost never escape, the one with no legs, the one that doesn't chase. It waits. Part 2. The beast below the grass. Predators come in all shapes. Some announce themselves, roars, growls, the thunder of hooves. Others, they are silence incarnate. In the tall grasses near riverbanks, where the reeds grow thick and shadows pool like ink, there lies something that doesn't need to run, doesn't need claws, doesn't need venom, though nature could have given it that too. It has something far more terrifying: patience, power, and perfect camouflage. What could squeeze harder than a crocodile's bite? What could slither longer than a Nile canoe? What could swallow prey nearly half its size without chewing once? Archaeological findings whisper its name: Gigantophis garstini, the gigantic snake, believed to have lived up to 39 feet in length, nearly 12 meters. Some estimates push even further, perhaps 40, even 42 feet. For perspective, that's longer than a school bus, longer than most hallways, longer than anything with scales had a right to be. Weighed upwards of 1,300 pounds, as thick as a grown man's torso. Muscles layered in coils so dense they could crush bone like dried clay. Its scales were dark, mottled browns and greens that mirrored the marshlands perfectly. When it lay still, it became the earth itself. Invisible, patient, deadly. It was a monster that outlived the dinosaurs, hiding in the reeds, ambushing without mercy. Not venomous. No need for that. When you can wrap your body around prey and compress with over 90 pounds per square inch of pressure, when you can stop a heartbeat just by tightening your grip, venom is redundant. It was a constrictor, a killer of pressure, silent, cold, unstoppable. The jungles and riverbanks of prehistoric Africa were the perfect hunting grounds, and the hominin's lightweight frame? A perfect snack wrapped in bone. Gigantophis didn't hunt like the cats. Cats relied on speed, surprise, the explosive sprint. Gigantophis relied on something more insidious: inevitability. It would position itself near water sources, near game trails, near places where thirst or hunger forced creatures into predictable paths. Then it would wait, for hours, sometimes days. Its metabolism slow, its breathing slower, a living trap. When prey came close, a young antelope, a warthog, an unsuspecting hominin, the strike was almost lazy. No dramatic lunge, just a smooth, fluid motion. The mouth opened, the body followed, and in less than 3 seconds, the coils began. First around the torso, then the limbs, tightening with every exhale the victim made. You see, constrictors don't crush you all at once. They wait for you to breathe out. Then they tighten. You breathe out again. They tighten more, each breath smaller than the last, until there is no breath left. Death came slow, not from broken bones, though that happened too, but from suffocation. From the heart failing under pressure, it was never built to withstand. And once the prey stopped moving, Gigantophis would begin the grotesque process of consumption. Unhinged jaw, flexible ligaments, swallowing whole, inch by nightmarish inch. It could take hours. And when it was done, the snake would find a hidden place to digest. For days, sometimes weeks, it wouldn't need to eat again. But for the hominins, there was no such rest, because Gigantophis remembered successful hunting grounds. And it returned. Now imagine this. You're a young Australopithecus. You've just learned to crack nuts with stones. You've watched your mother dig for roots. You know the sound of danger, the low rumble of a cat, the snap of a crocodile's jaws. But you've never seen the snake. You've only heard the elder's warning calls, the frantic gestures toward the reeds, the wide eyes, the retreat. You don't fully understand. Not yet. Not until the day you see it yourself. Part 3. The confrontation. It began with footprints. In Laetoli, Tanzania, a trail was preserved in volcanic ash. 70 footprints, maybe more. One small, one large. Perhaps family walking side by side. A child, an adult, another smaller set trailing behind. They walked together, as they always did, safety in numbers. But nearby, scattered bones, crushed ribs, twisted forms frozen in sediment. Bones tell stories, and this one speaks of terror. Here's the scene our ancestors didn't live to describe. The sun is falling. The group has spent the day foraging near the riverbank. They've found tubers, some berries, a clutch of bird eggs. It's been a good day. Bellies are full. Spirits are high. A young male, let's call him Cato, though he has no name, wanders a bit farther than the others. He's curious, adventurous, reckless in the way only the young can be. He's seen 12 or 13 seasons, still learning, still testing boundaries. He follows birds at dusk, hoping they'll lead him to a nest, more eggs, a prize to bring back. He only has a sharpened stick, his first tool made with his own hands. And dreams, big dreams, of proving himself, of being seen. But the reeds move. Not from wind. The air is still. Cato freezes. His heart hammers. His breath catches. Every instinct screams, run. But curiosity, damned, fatal curiosity, keeps him there a moment too long. The reeds explode. Too late. In an instant, Gigantophis strikes. 40 feet of muscle and cold intent erupt from the shadows. The head, massive, angular, eyes like black glass, opens wide. Cato tries to scream, but before sound leaves his throat, the coils wrap, first around his legs, then his waist, then his chest. He gasps once. The snake tightens. His ribs bend inward. His vision blurs. The sharpened stick falls from his hand, useless. The first scream finally escapes, high, desperate, primal, but only for a moment. Then breath is crushed away. His companions hear. The group freezes. Heads snap toward the sound. Eyes wide. Hearts pounding. The elders know that sound, they've heard it before. Most turn away. Survival instinct, self-preservation. We cannot save him. We can only save ourselves. But a few hesitate. An older female, perhaps his mother, takes a step toward the reeds. A male, scarred and strong, grips his stone tool tighter. 2 others, younger but brave, follow. This moment is everything. Fight or die, run or lose one of their own. They don't have time to think, only to act. They rush into the reeds. The scene is chaos. Cato is barely visible, wrapped in dark coils that pulse and tighten. His face is purple, eyes bulging, mouth open in a silent scream. The older male roars, a guttural, desperate sound, and stabs at the snake's body with his sharpened stone. It barely penetrates. The scales are thick, the muscles thicker. The snake doesn't even flinch. The female circles, looking for an opening. She sees the head, turning now, mouth open, ready to strike again. She doesn't think. She throws a rock. It hits the snake's snout. Now it flinches. Gigantophis releases Cato just slightly and turns its attention to the new threat. Cato gasps, a desperate rattling breath. The scarred male lunges again. This time the sharpened flint finds soft tissue. The eye. The snake recoils violently, thrashing. Its tail whips out, slamming into one of the younger hominins. He's thrown backward, landing hard. He doesn't get up, but the group doesn't stop. They swarm, stabbing, hitting, screaming, primal rage outweighing fear. The snake is wounded now, blind in one eye, bleeding from a dozen shallow cuts. But it's not done. One final coil wraps around the older female. She gasps. The scarred male screams, a sound that transcends species. He drives the stone tool deep into the snake's throat. Again, again, again. After minutes that feel eternal, the snake's body goes slack. It slumps into the mud, twitching. Then still. The ground is crimson. The reeds are trampled. Cato lies gasping, bruised, alive, but broken. The older female is freed, coughing, ribs cracked but breathing. The younger hominin who was struck? He doesn't move. He never will. When it's done, the survivors stand in silence, chests heaving, blood on their hands. The snake lies still, a titan fallen. But humanity has changed forever. They've done what no hominin had done before, defeated a top predator, together, not by being stronger, not by being faster, but by being unified, by choosing to fight when flight was easier, by risking everything, for one. Part 4. The Birth of Courage. That night they don't run. They stay near the body. They mourn, they study, they remember. The young one who fell is placed gently on the ground. No burial, not yet. But there's a tenderness, a recognition. He was ours. They sit close, groom each other, touch hands and faces. In their simplicity, something begins. A memory, passed in grunts and calls. A story, told without words. The thing in the reeds, the one that kills. We fought it, and we won. The idea of a snake that could be killed. The idea of sticking together, of defending the tribe. These were the first sparks. Not of fire, but of strategy. Not of invention, but of intention. Over the following days, something shifts in the group. They return to the snake's body, not to eat it. Its flesh is too tough, too foul. But to learn from it. They touch its scales, measure its length with their bodies, stare into the one remaining eye, clouded now in death. The scarred male takes a tooth, not as a tool, it's too brittle, but as a symbol. He wears it on a cord of woven grass around his neck. Others see this, and they understand. We are the ones who fought the serpent. We are the ones who survived. When they carry parts of the massive python back to their camp, others watch, in awe, in fear, in pride. Not just a meal. This is a monument, a memory that marks the emergence of dominance in a world that had long tried to erase them. Word, or something like it, spreads. Other groups hear the calls, see the scars, notice the change. The way this group moves now. Not as prey, but as survivors. This moment, invisible to history but etched in biology, is the birth of something profound. Courage, not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. And from that single choice came cooperation, came planning, came the idea that we are stronger together than apart. It's the first chapter in a story that will one day build pyramids, write symphonies, send rockets to the stars. But it started here, in blood, in mud, in fear, and in a moment of bravery that no one would remember. But that changed everything. Part 5. What remains in the dirt. Today you can still visit Laetoli in Tanzania, walk where they walked, see the path they etched into time. We find footprints, 70 of them, frozen in volcanic ash. 7 million years old. We find stone tools, primitive but intentional. We find fossils, skulls, femurs, teeth. We piece together their lives from fragments. but we don't find Gigantophis among them. Why? Perhaps climate change. As the Earth shifted, the wetlands dried. The rivers shrank, the reeds vanished, and with them, the habitat that sustained such giants. Or perhaps extinction, outcompeted by faster predators, by smarter prey, by a changing world that no longer had room for 40-foot constrictors. Or maybe it simply vanished like all legends do, fading into myth, into shadow, into the deep, dark places we still fear without knowing why. But buried deep in our DNA, in our fear of the dark, in our primal instinct to jump at the hiss, lies a memory older than fear itself, the memory of the days when snakes ruled, and all we had was each other. Scientists today study this. They call it evolutionary psychology, the idea that behaviors, fears, instincts, they're not just learned, they're inherited. Why do children who've never seen a snake recoil at the sight of one? Why does a hiss trigger adrenaline faster than a growl? Why do we feel safer in groups than alone? Because millions of years ago, those instincts saved lives. Those who feared the serpent lived. Those who stayed with the group survived. Those who fought instead of always fleeing prospered. And they passed those instincts down through bloodlines, through generations, through you. You are the descendant of the survivors, of the ones who didn't give up, who didn't run when it mattered most, who stood together when the world tried to pull them apart. Every scar they earned, you carry in code. Every lesson they learned, you inherit in instinct. Every battle they fought, you are the proof they won. Conclusion: where courage was born. The story of humanity didn't begin in cities, or in temples or castles or conference rooms. It began here, in dust, panic, blood, and in a moment of bravery that no one remembers. But that changed everything. They didn't have science, didn't have words, didn't have weapons worth the name, but they had the first fire that ever mattered, the fire to survive. And from that came us all. So the next time you feel afraid, the next time the dark feels too heavy, the unknown too close, remember this: you come from a line unbroken, a chain of survivors stretching back 7 million years. Every single one of your ancestors, every single one survived long enough to pass life forward, through famine, predators, disease, war, ice ages. They survived the giant serpent. And you're still here. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel for more untold stories from our ancient past. Share this video with someone who needs to remember that courage didn't start with knights or soldiers. It started with a small group of hominins who chose to fight a monster and won. Drop a comment below. What ancient fear do you think we still carry today? I read everyone, and I'll see you in the next story, where we uncover the origins of what makes us human.